Hi there YouTube, I got a little banger for you today, and yeah, this game is called Sintopia. Yes, I am a little cheapy now. I am different. Yes, but we have a new game today. It's called Sintopia. It is a god game where you actually, well, purify souls, manage the throughput of cleansing their souls of all the sin. And yes, everyone is a sinner over here, except for the people that become saints. That one is an exception. And there is also demons in this game. Maybe we'll get to see one later in our play. But I have a little thing to actually show you guys before we start with our first run over here on YouTube. Yes, it is from a save that I have played before on Twitch, and yeah, that will allow you to know a little bit more about the later stages of the game before we get too deep in. So before we get too deep in, let's actually cut to that. This is the game proper, and this is what the game would look like after you have chosen one of the challenges to actually play. And yes, I'm gonna be at the bottom of the screen over here, little Omar. I'm not gonna take up your whole entire screen. Don't worry about that one. I think this is a little bit of a fun way to have me interject into your screen. And what I was talking about just now, about the demons and such, right, is this thingy over here. Right over here, this ball of fire. So what happens in this game, right? Let me start from the beginning first, and then we'll end up over here. Is actually in this game you are the administrator of hell, and this is the overworld. Let me just zoom out. This is the overworld where you govern as, well, the administrator of administration, and the admin of hell essentially. And this is the little pit where you actually do all your managerial stuff at. And this is the part where I say it's kind of like factory-like, in a sense where you have a lot of logic stuff where you use to filter the sinners or the souls. I like to call them the sinners, but honestly they are just souls that needs to be cleansed, and they get filtered into different paths. So what happens in this game is that on the overworld, your people kind of, well, do their own thing over here. You don't really have any control over whether they build buildings, they make farm stuff and make food, or become doctors or become soldiers. You don't really have control over that. What you do have control over is actually some spells over here that we have, that we will go through it later. And also hell itself, where you cleanse people's soul. So when people die, right? When people die, what happens is that they will end up in the graveyard. And this is the graveyard over here. And you'll see later on in, well, 49 seconds, right? Later we'll come back to this, that the Grim Reaper bus will come by and then get all of these souls that have died into the bus, and then they will travel down to hell. And of course there's a bunch of souls right now that's in the graveyard, and when we click on them we can actually take a look-see at how much sin they have. And this is the screen for all the sins that they have, and this is the number of cycles. So the more times they actually travel down to hell and get purified, we actually get more money. So what is money in this game? What is the currency in this game? The currencies in this game is $, of course, and also, yeah, your regular upkeep. And you use heroes for something else. Heroes are actually used to unlock new technologies, which is unlocked through your Liberté Administratum. And introducing the Liberté Administratum, you got, well, a bunch of technology right now. Some of them is not available just yet, because this game is in early playtest. It's alpha, so yeah. There's a lot of things that are not exactly perfect yet, but it is still very much enjoyable to play. I suffered through a lot trying to stream this on Twitch, because it has a little bit of a problem on my computer, and it keeps, well, self-destructing. But other than that, it's honestly quite a joy to be able to play this game early on, right, in its playtest stage, to be able to actually give feedback to the developers on their Discord, and they're actually really responsive on their Discord. So if you want to playtest this game, right, head over to Steam over there and look for Sintopia. Yeah, look for Sintopia. It is available for playtest for everyone. It is totally free, so do take a look at it. It is slated for a regular full release on 2026, as far as I can recall. Yes, they're not gonna be doing, I don't think at the very least they're doing early access. They said that they're not doing early access. In exchange, they're pushing back, right, the release date and releasing another playtest. And this is actually, I think it's a second or third playtest. I didn't participate in the first one, but yeah, this is a little bit more fleshed out now. So let's go through the tech tree, right? This is a tech tree over here where you basically unlock different buildings like the restroom and such, and also, well, different souls roads so people can travel faster, different treatment facilities so people can get relief of their sin faster, and also some technologies that will allow you to interact with the overworld by using hell technology. And well, over here is the spells part. The spells part. I really would like to get access to these spells right now, but yeah, we can't. And one of the things I really want is Extinction Event. Sounds like I get to summon a meteor, a very big meteor, to strike the town center, which is absolutely delightful. Okay, and you may be wondering, right, how do you actually get these hero coins in order to unlock your tech tree and stuff? Well, you can get heroes by creating saints, as you can see from over here. How do you create saints then? You can see these people, right, in the graveyard that has this halo not hollow halo thing, right? What happens is that, well, when you treat somebody in hell and they reach the respawn gate over here and they have less than 42 sin, which well, this guy over here is yes, only one sin, so yes, he more than likely will become a saint. But it's, as far as I know, it's not really a scaling thing. As long as you're below 42, you have a flat chance to become a saint. And once they get to this area over here where, well, they hit you with a pun, sin you later. Sin you later, yes. You have a chance to actually become a saint hummus. Yes, they are not humans, they are hummus. I find it a little bit hard to actually say hummus, so I like to say sinners. Yeah, my little sinners. And what happens is that they have a chance to become saints, and if they become saints, they give you 1 point over here. 1 point of heroes. And of course there is other sources of heroes points, but we'll figure that out along the way. Alright, I know about all that, but I'm not gonna bore you with the details, rather than just give you a big info dump. And yeah, that is basically what happens for the life cycle of hummus. They come out, we smite them because we want to punish their sins, right? They get sent to the graveyard over here. they get carried down to hell by the Grim Reaper bus, and what happens is that they end up over here going through the whole entire process. But I've been telling so much, alright? I've been telling you guys about all that is happening over here, and I feel like I should be doing a little bit more showing than telling. So let's actually get to the showing part, shall we? Yes, and of course, this is what happens when one of these sinners, right, get too sinful. There's 2 stages of sin. Oh, well, 3, honestly. The first stage is 0 to 49. They're just regular sinners. They're just living their life. What happens when they get to 50 is that they turn into a deviant. And what happens when they are deviant is that they start to act differently from regular humans. For example, the Raft one will throw a temper tantrum or go on a serial killing rampage and start stabbing random people in the town. And for those that are, well, 100 sin, they will turn into a demon. And we will get to see what happens when they turn into a demon right now. And we'll just go to slow motion to see what happens. He turned into a demon, and I think he is now flying away. He just transformed into one of this spirit ball type of thingy. Some dragon ball thingy. And I think he's now just flying to the other side of the map. Yes, we get to see what happens when we have a demon. So what happens when we get a demon is that, right, once they become a demon, they will actually land in one of the resource nodes on the overworld, and they will actually come out to be, well, a very angry one. But that's the thing, he doesn't really do anything, he's just here. But the problem is this area where he has corrupted will essentially cause problems for our civilization. Of course, we will occasionally, well, the ruler will occasionally send people to try to eradicate this demon, but it's not gonna be an easy one. And that's the thing, he has corrupted the surface, and what happens is that, you see, there's like kind of like a rift in space right now, which means that the hell spawns can actually come out of here. For us this time, it will be actually Wrath spawns coming out of over here, which will try to attack the temple. And what is the temple, you say? This is the temple. This is God's property on Earth. Alright, this is God's property on Earth. This is where we govern from, technically speaking, symbolically anyways. Right? Symbolically. And this is our king. This is the king of the kingdom over here. He is very sinful, honestly. He's not a very good king. I kind of wanted to smite him, but just to show you guys, right? Just to show you guys all of these things, I kept it around. So there is a situation where he can actually creep up to 50, and we won't have a regular king anymore. So this is where we can actually take a look-see at what our king actually does. This is what the king actually does. It gives you little, well, buff, little modifiers, right? Let me pause. To actually affect what goes on in your society. And over here, this king currently increases or pushes more people to become merchants, and really disincentivize people from becoming doctors, from becoming priests. So that's what happens. And also there's a little bit of extra effect here and there. So galvanized life path for merchants, so the merchants actually work better. They also sin a little bit more because the merchants generate sin by working. Alright, that's enough yapping. And what happens is during the day, right? This is the dawn. Yes, this is dawn. And what happens during dawn is that any of our population, of our people, that has done a little bit of a shaboinking at night will create offsprings, and this is where they come out. Yes, so when they quite literally say you are born from a water chestnut or something like that from the temple, right? when you ask your parents where do you come from, how did you get conceived, that type of deal, yeah, that's the story they tell you. And that is where all of these newcomers come from. Some of the newcomers are, well, spawned with a little bit sin, honestly. They're not the best. Sometimes I kill the newcomers straight up. And then there is this portal over here, which is a resurrection portal. You can see just now one human actually popped out of here. What happens is that people that die, they get transported to hell, they come back from this portal over here. Yes, so people that are in hell, which is seen from our corner of the screen over here, we can see there's 130 people in hell and 250 people living on the surface. I intentionally created all this so that I can show you guys all of the juicy bits at the start. And in a few moments time, the Reaper bus will come by and we can get to see that. And then when you take a look around, right, you can kind of see as well there is people that is really sinful and they become a deviant and they get like a symbol on top. And this is the Reaper bus. Yes, zoom in. So yeah, now you know what what the Grim Reaper actually does. Yes, in reality, yes, the Grim Reaper is just a contractor of hell. He's just here to, you know, facilitate people to actually go to hell. And let's actually do a little bit of upgrade so you guys can actually see what hero coins actually do. So when you use your hero coins, right, on hellish knowledge over here, these are passive upgrades. Alright, these are passive upgrades. Okay, so one thing you can actually do is enlarge your bus, because that's the thing, right? You're looking at this like, hey, we don't have enough space to carry everyone to hell. Because that's the thing, if you don't have enough space to carry people to hell, right, there will be a problem like this guy over here. So what happens is that they have died and their corpse has not been buried just yet. So what happens is that as time goes on, soul rot accumulates and then contamination occurs. If it goes up all the way, well, they become a zombie. So that's not what we want to happen. We do not want zombies going around. Zombies will actually attack the population on the surface, which honestly we say that we don't want, but at the same time we are also killing people. So you know, maybe we want them, maybe we don't want them, and there's plus and minuses to having zombies around, but mainly minuses. You kind of want to avoid them. And then there is a Reaper bus. Now that we have upgraded it, it can carry 25 souls, many decade bus, yes, quadruple decade bus I suppose. And now it's going to hell. Drive safe, because it's very long. And down it goes to hell. And then if we go to hell over here, this is the landing zone. We can actually see. There we go. Our Grim Reaper coming out of yes, a hole that is blocked off. Yes, he teleports, okay? And now we have 25 souls at the entrance. And what happens underground in hell is that people will slowly filter out And all this structure is built by me, right? What happens is that they will go past all of these checks and checks in the soul dispatches, which will determine, well, how sinful they are, and it will determine which path they go down. This is how we do effective treatment. So those that are really wrathful will head to over here, get treated by Hector Saw, which will deal with all of the wrath. And what happens in all of this place, as you can see over here, Hector is just over here rapping and kind of cursing at the sinner's soul over here. Let's have the next one come in. And there we go. He has 20 wrath sin. What happens is he will come in here and Hector will kind of just tear him into pieces. And you can see his sin just drops really quickly, which is nice. And once it hits down to 0, well, Hector will actually pass him out to carry on the path to salvation. And of course we install multiple checks along the way. So once they get treated for wrath, right, they go into another one of these to get checked for whether or not they are gluttonous, or whether or not they are still wrathful, or they are greedy. And they will be split to different pathways. If they are greedy by any chance, right, they will actually get passed right back into this way over here, and then they will enter this check route and check for greed. And once they're done, they will get passed out to go the whole entire loop again. Things can be more efficient, but this is the way I have found it the most convenient to build. It uses a lot of space, but it's fine. And this is our saint breaking facility over here. Yes, I think if I see this queue, I also don't want to be a saint anymore. So what happens is that when they get treated, correct, through this whole entire facility for any of the sins that they have, this is for lust, this is for pride, this is a special facility that we will go through when the time comes. Right? Once they get treated, they actually get to over here through this check gate, and they will go to this thing which we have access from the start of the game, which is the Omi Sin Doctor. Yes, after you go through the Omi Sin Doctor, most of the time they will be A-okay already. And seeing this, yes they are, they'll get passed through. What happens is they have a chance to become a saint. And if a saint actually comes back through our whole system over here, right, they actually don't give us any money when they come to hell. And also, let's click on this. They don't give us money, they don't give us any faith coins, they also don't give us any heroes when they resurrect. So we honestly want to break them as a person. And this is why we break them by using hell's bureaucracy, which is just honestly, hell on earth is not somewhere I want to be in. And yeah, a lot of them really broke really hard. And those of them that actually got broken already, right, they will go through the check over here once again, and you will check whether or not you're sane. If you are sane, you get passed in and you go through the hell a second time. If you're not a sane, well, congratulations, you go to path A, which is getting the hell out of here. And what is this accreditation office? I'm using this currently to inflict sin resistant buff so that people on the surface will be, well, more pious. They won't be as much of a problem as to per se. They are more manageable. So that's the idea of all of this. Let's actually go to the surface. I think there's a fight going on. Yes, there is. So this was what I was talking about. What do you call that? The sinner actually turns into a deviant at 50, and yeah, they lash out. which is really not good. They start hurting people. There we go. And what we need to do, right, as Hell's administrator is actually to, well, move these people along because they're being really, really bad, right? They're killing people that doesn't need to go to hell, which is like, you know, if they go to hell, they're just gonna clog out our machinery. But he's actually really close to this person, so I might not be able to save this person, but hey ho, it is what it is. I used the lightning on this guy, but he's not dead. Instead, this guy is dead. Okay. I think it's because that just reset. Them being raffled, them being triggered, right? Let's actually blow them by using the wind, and they hit the wall and they passed on. And now they are in the cemetery, which, well, the Reaper will process their soul eventually. So yeah, this is how we protect our people on the overworld from people that are really devious sinner. And you can kind of see this is what I have intended to happen at the beginning, but I think because there were some things going on in between the before recording and they stop becoming a sinner. They stop being a deviant. And what happens when the king is a deviant, right? As you can kind of see, their stats actually change. So what happens when they become a deviant is that their stats actually change into something that is a little bit more extreme, right? A little bit more extreme. So what happens when they become a rough deviant? It is that, let's see, this button here. They incentivize people to become soldiers full on. So there's a range of 1 to 3 points over here, and they really are gonna push a lot of people to become soldiers. A little bit will become doctors, just because they need the doctors to treat the soldiers when the soldiers get injured. Fanatical soldiers will be in place. Yes, as you can kind of see, this is a lot more than the galvanized trait over there. The galvanized trait only give you a +20, meanwhile the fanatical is a +50. But because the thing is that they're very extremist, they start to completely restrict any builders, any priest, any harvester, and any merchant from existing over time. And this is the stats page over here where we can kind of see what the ruler actually wants, right? The ruler desires these things over here, and they really don't want any priests, and they are satisfied with not having any priests. They want more doctors, so they are gonna push people to become more doctors over time. Merchants, builders, and the such, right? Yeah, the rulers are gonna start to deprioritize because they are deviant. One thing that can actually help to fix any deviancy, right, that is occurring on the surface is actually the building called this over here, the church. If you have priests, which we have none right now because of the ruler, and also for the sake of the video, I have actually destroyed a bunch of the churches, right? This way we can have a lot of sin. That's why we actually spawned the demon. But yeah, this is what actually happened when you have a normal game. You have a church, and then the priest will actually call in the most sinful of the population. So maybe let's just say this guy over here, right, is the most sinful. He will be actually placed in the middle over here, in the circle, and then the priest will actually preach at him to actually lower his sin. We'll actually take a look at it later on. But yeah, that is basically all of it, honestly, that I really want to talk about. Oh yeah, over time people will just die because of old age. So yes, I think that's all I want to yep for now. For what do you call that? The details on this game, and instead we'll just take a look-see at this fight over here. Yes, this fight over here. We have a warband right over here, where the people have actually sent a bunch of soldiers to, I think the ruler actually sent all of these soldiers because as you can kind of tell, the ruler really likes soldiers now. And these soldiers are actually buffed heavily, right? They're heavily buffed to actually deal with the problems we have. I'll give them a little bit of a healing rain to heal them and send them to combat. And this is what happens when yeah, your humus actually get into a combat situation. And we can actually intervene as well by doing a zap. Normally, you use zap for hurting people, but if you hold down, you can actually give them a blessing. And this is what I call God's blessing. I shall give you God's blessing and you shall do my work on this planet. And we're using all of the soldiers and all of the rangers to deal with Balmont, I think, over here. And I think he is actually defeated. He's gonna get sucked back in to the void. Goodbye, heretic. And his portal was closed. However, I think the corruption stays. Yeah, the corruption stays. And we have permanently lost this spot over here for our resources. And you can kind of see all of these guys, right? Because of the combat, I think they have actually gained a little bit of wrath from fighting. And at the bottom of the screen, you can kind of see the influence bar, which will indicate whether or not they are a cultist. There's a bunch of things that I haven't actually talked about just yet. But yeah, we will go through all of that in our own map playthrough. Yes, in our own map playthrough of sorts. This is just an overview of sorts to show you guys what is in this game, what you guys can expect out of this series of sort. I plan to make this a long series, at least 3 videos. Yes, 3 videos. But of course, there is gonna be a little bit of a constraint because I can't carry on playing this game after the playtest, as I do not really have access to it anymore. After the Steam playtest time. And yes, there's a bunch of, this is all of our sinners. Yes, all of our sinners that is cultists. And they are knocking around, trying to spread the word of, well, the Hell's Administrator. These cultists over here are actually my own believers. And what they do is they actually drop off offerings to me and also, well, do certain activities that I say or I want them to do. But yeah, this will be it for this part of the beginning section of Sintopia. And I hope you guys enjoyed listening to me yep and go through all of the details of this game. And this will more than likely be like episode 0 of sorts type of thing, where I upload it to YouTube. And yeah, stay tuned for episode 1. Yes, I suppose. I'm sorry that I did not actually make this before what do you call that, playing it on Twitch, so you guys can't actually join me on Twitch while I play this. But I hope all of these videos will satisfy you guys that is possibly gonna be watching this. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this recording. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Bye bye. Bye bye bye. Bye bye. Hey, let me press the button. Bye bye.